Morning everyone. We are coming to you live via Facebook streaming, YouTube streaming, and also via Skype. Each one of you is welcome to this live streaming from our studios in Trinidad. Sutras of Vigyan Bhairav Tantra. For prayer, you need silence and heart that is awake. Prayer is not a communication in words. For prayer, you do not need any lip movement or tongue movement. When the tongue moves, words are formed. Instead, you need a silent, awake heart, and also you need a state when there is no doubt, no hesitation. Each word becomes useless if, while the word is being recited, the heart is not totally awake and alert. When the heart is available at that moment, the energy is flowing through that, it is alert, then it is better for the tongue to take a backstage. You do not need temples or the religious place for prayer. If you cannot discover the temple within your heart, if your heart could not become a place of worship, a temple or mosque or church, then how would you find your heart in the so-called your place of worship? If your hearts should be the sanctuary, it should be the temple, it should be the place of worship. If that becomes, then the outer temple or church or anything will be meaningless. And if the heart has not become the sanctuary, it has not awakened, the energy is not flowing through, or as Sufis call Kalb Zakir Hona, the heart is invoked. If that has not happened, what would you do? What your prayer will have meaning in the temple? Most of the people had doubt in their doubt within. They feel the necessity of prayer, that prayer is important, but they do not know the way how to pray. They cannot pray without words. And if you go into Christian prayers are very long. We do not know how to intonate a particular word. For instance, there is a Hindu prayer in the Upanishads, Aham Brahmasmi. Aham means I am, Brahma means consciousness, Asmi means Asti. I am the ever expanding consciousness. So what is in this, what is important? Aham means I, embodiment of ego. Brahma, the consciousness that is ever expanding. And Asmi is verb that completes the sentence: subject, object and predicate. But what happens? We give too much of importance to the first letter Aham. Aham, I am. That emphasis goes on to that. Brahmasmi. The focus is not on the consciousness. Whereas in the recitation of this particular sound, the focus should be on the word consciousness, Brahma. That is important. But you have doubts whether consciousness is or not, whether it is expanding or not. But I am, that is certain, I am. Then the prayer, when it is not done properly, like as a physician, when you are going to give the injection, it has, or doing any diagnosis, it has to be done the way it is supposed to be done, the way it is mentioned in the medical literature, not otherwise. So emphasis should be on the word. The first letter Aham should be very short, meaningless. Brahma, focus should be on it more. Asmi is just short, it completes its sentence. Without the verb there is no sentence. I am ever expanding consciousness. In English, when you say I am ever expanding consciousness, so you should understand this, which word needs to be focused. When we use the word Allahu, the focus goes on Al. The next syllable is Ah, and then Hu. When you take these sounds in that way, when you say Al, the sound is expanding, is going up. La is descending, going down into your solar plexus. And the third aspect, Hu, when you do, it hammers the solar plexus. The second, Ah and Hu are important. If you simply say the word Hu, it hammers your solar plexus. And what is the purpose of that? So that it becomes activated, the energy begins to flow from there. If the water is boiling and it reaches a certain temperature, the process of condensation begins. One of the aspects, when the molecules that get hot, they move up, and this process goes on like that. In the same way, energy begins to move up, and then cycle completes. The energy that is there in the brain that comes to the solar plexus it's a cycle of purification. It moves from here, whatever is purified, the water is evaporated, it goes up and then comes down and becomes the steam. So the focus should be, if we do not understand this, then what is the purpose of doing all these austerities and these prayers? And they are meaningless. Most of the people are in illusion. They are doubtful. They feel the need for the prayer, but they do not know the correct way of doing the prayer. We cannot pray without words. They do not find the correct word unless they are put into them. put it to their mind. We use the words from here or there. When we want to say a prayer, we go to the priest and ask him to give you a prayer. He looks into his own manuals and then gives you a prayer. Prayer should be a spontaneous overflow of energy from within you. And when they have to stroll within the vastness of their energy field, they got lost and they become fearful. But when they go within the four walls of the temple, they get consolation. Let them create their own place of worship. Let them say your own prayers. For you need to know the secret, the word that can transform you. And that secret is love. Fill your heart with that. Save your tongue and lips from the pain of reciting the words. Free yourself from this. And you focus on the movement of the energy. If you simply understand the process of breathing, each prayer has a particular way of working with the energy. If your heart, that is why it is said, the heart becomes too hard and nothing happens there, no vibrations reach there. So in order to bring that, the energy that has gone into the head, it has to be brought down to the heart center, and then heart gets invoked, and the moment it gets invoked, the prayer begins to happen. For this, all the energy need to be settled within your heart center. All the relation and everything gets shattered. So we need to understand that for prayer, words are not needed. You need to know the correct technique of breathing and hammering. Why it is important? Because, as I said earlier, the entire body is a musical orchestra. There are various instruments. And these instruments need to be in harmony with one another. Only then there is rhythm, there is beauty, there is something that appeals to you. And for that, first thing is that we have to understand in every musical orchestra there is a percussion instrument. And percussion instrument is drums. So when the fetus is in mother's womb and it moves in the womb within the placenta, there is a sound that comes in which resembles the sound of the drum, dhak, 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 like beat, a rhythmic beat. So this is through the solar plexus. about 3/4 of an inch below the navel. That's the place, and you were connected to the mother's womb through the umbilical cord from that. And you were continued to be nourished and nurtured. There was no breathing, nothing. And the breathing starts for the first time when you come out. And the first thing the child does when it comes into the world, it takes a few breaths. So life begins with breathing. The journey of the life begins with breathing. And an old man, the last thing he does is take the breath. And the last breath he takes, and thereafter life comes to an end. So between these two stages of taking the first breath and the last breath, between these two is a span that is known as life. Breathing in and breathing out. So breathing in is bringing the life in, but where you need to focus, and that is what is important. So the focus should be, but when you see people reciting the scriptures, they go on shaking. That is not important. The focus should be on the breathing. When breath comes in, life comes in, breath goes out, and between these two there is a precise moment. When a Hindu wants to start up anything or do anything, he goes to the priest and look for the auspicious occasion. That is known as muhurat. Wants him to give the date. He asks for date. But muhurat is a very precise moment. There is a one moment, then next moment. A precise moment. One moment, and it is receding into the past, into the oblivion, and the next one has not come in. These are very precise moments, and you cannot capture it. If you can capture these two moments, and between the two, that is the moment which is this nowness, if you can capture this, your prayer is complete. You don't need to do anything. So for that, breathing becomes a technique. So the precise auspicious moment is that moment between the two moments. One that has receded, gone back into the oblivion, the other has not come in. The past and the present, but these are not spread over a period of time. These are very precise moments. Past is a precise moment. I am speaking, a word is spoken, immediately it vanishes, goes into the oblivion. A screen, you are watching something on the television, a particular scene comes in, it remains for how long? You watch the Facebook or any other, whatever comes onto the screen, how long does it remain on the screen? Not more than 10 seconds. Then it goes back and the screen changes. If we understand this and understand the preciseness of it, we understand what prayer is and how prayer should be recited. So the percussion instrument, this constant hammering of the solar plexus. Above that, there is the bellow when you are lying down and you keep your mouth slightly open, slightly, and you keep your palms onto your navel, you will find there is expansion and contraction. the stomach goes up and goes down. If this becomes rhythmic, then there will be relaxation. When there is chaos, this is moving in a very chaotic manner. And if during the state of the act of love making, your breathing becomes very rhythmic and calm, then there comes a transformation. So this is the bellow instruments like organ or harmonium, or those instruments that work on a bellow system. Thereafter comes the wind instruments. In the wind instrument, whether it is ney, whether it is flute, whether it is clarinet, it comes in that category when the air is blown into it. So this is wind instrument. Thereafter comes the highest category of instruments, which are stringed instrument. It can be one stringed instrument or seven. Sitar is 7 stringed instrument, and tanpura, which is needed, which is a single stringed instrument. These are the basic orchestra that is the body is composed of. Then there is a command center, and if the focus onto that, then changes begin to happen. When a concert is to begin, all the musicians try to tune their instruments. If you would have seen how the instruments are tuned, it is tuned either through the using the single stringed instrument or through the bellow instrument. All the other instruments, that is bass guitar or whatever it is, they are all tuned in with bellow instruments. So whatsoever is, whether it is your heart, whether it is your something else, it has to be tuned with your solar plexus. That's why this particular syllable, Allahu, Allah, Allahu, who should be the focus, so that it begins to activate. The energy needs to move, and the process of in heat, there are 3 systems: convection, condensation, and radiation. Convection means when the molecules which are heated, they go up, and then the process continues. Radiation is the light, the energy falls, that is the radiation from the sun. So in the same way, through this process of hammering, the energy begins to get purified. Now, whether you are using Allahu or Aham Brahmasmi, the focus should be on the consciousness, the world. And unless you can recite these properly, your prayer will be meaningless. You may be saying, people understand that you are saying your long prayers, but it will not bring any transformation into you. So any act that you do in life, that can be a prayerful. You are eating, you can be eating prayerfully. You are in the act of sex, it can be prayerful. And that's why the quality begins to change. And when the quality of your act changes, that brings the process of transformation. Brings the process of transformation into you. And this is the very purpose of all these prayers, but we need to understand, so that your heart becomes the abode, your temple. And if that cannot become a temple, then how can temple become your heart? And this we need to understand. We do not have a control on our life because it is a gift from the unknown, gift from God. So we have to nourish and nurture it, take care of it the way it's supposed to be. Only then, but we keep on forgetting this life is a gift. We consider the children are your children. They are born through you, not from you. In one of the famous work of Khalil Gibran, Prophet, there are characters. Al-Mustafa is the character who is the master, and there is Al-Mitra, the character. She asks Master, what about children? Master says, children are born through you, not from you. Give them your love, but not your mind. What about love? Let there be a distance. Let there be a distance. What does means in love there to be distance? If we consider love as a place of worship, a temple or church, the temple or the church or any structure is based on the pillars, and the pillars are placed far apart from one another. They are not in a cluster. And if you bring them close to one another, what happens? The temple structure will fall. It exists only the pillars are placed far apart from one another. And when they are far apart from one another, they sustain the structure of the temple. Have you ever seen any building where these pillars are in a cluster? Even if they are in a cluster form, but these clusters of 4 pillars or 2 pillars are spread all over the structure. So let there be a distance in love. If you want love to be evolving, to deepen, let there be. And when the pillars are placed far apart from one another, there happens an echo, reverberation. When a sound is created, it echoes and comes back to you. So when there is a distance, there is a gap, any call that you do to your beloved, it echoes and comes back to you. The life is a gift, but we keep on forgetting and we never feel gratitude towards it. We keep on complaining, and your prayer is nothing else but a complaint. You must have the feeling of gratitude that you have been given a life. You are given an opportunity so that you can bring about transformation into you. I have heard a boat was anchored, but the anchor was not there, boat was just on the shore. All of a sudden 4 turtles jumped into the boat, and the wind was blowing very hard. So with the jerk that all the turtles jumped into the boat began to sail. All of them became very happy. Then a very philosophical question arose. We are not sailing the boat, but the boat is moving, it is sailing. Who is sailing the boat? Who is using the rider for boat to move? One of the turtles said, it is the river that is moving it. Can't you see it? The boat is moving with the stream of the river. And it is the river stream that is making the boat move. The second one said, are you mad or what? It is the strong wind, not the river, that is making the boat to move. The argument began. Then third one said, this is all illusion. Maybe he was a greater philosopher. He said, this is all illusion, neither the wind nor the river is moving the boat. Maybe he was a greater philosopher. Neither the river stream is making the boat move, nor the wind. Nothing is moving. Nobody is moving. We are not going anywhere. This is all illusion. We are in a dream state. But the fourth one was silent. So all the three anxiously looked at the fourth one and said, why you don't say anything? The fourth one still remained silent. And when they forced, he said, I do not know anything. I know nothing. Whether it is the river stream is moving the boat, or the strong winds are moving the boat, or the boat is neither moving or not going anywhere. Hearing the fourth one, all the three who were arguing among themselves, they came together. Because one was saying, the first said it is the river stream moving the boat. The second said a strong wind is moving the boat. The third said nobody is moving. So all of them were arguing among themselves when we got the fourth one who said, I know nothing about, don't know anything about it, whether it is river stream moving the boat or the wind or anything else. They threw him in the river and said that there he thinks himself to be a great wise man. He simply said that I know nothing. But what he did, he said something of great realization. Who knows who is moving and how can you know? These sages of the Upanishads, they said, who created this world? Krishna says God created the world. But they said, how can you say that who created the world? How can you say who knows it? Maybe one who has created it may know. Maybe he may not know that. Maybe he knows, maybe he may not know. When you create something, only afterwards you come to know. A sculpture makes a sculpture. Before he makes it, does he know? He will simply say, a thought arose into me. Where it came from, why it came from, I do not know. And if that thought did not arise in me, the process would have not completed. when the thought came, a feeling arose in me. I held on to that. And then the sculpture was created. How it made? Who made it? That sculpture is just simply an instrument. A thought came. Mirza Ghalib said, आते हैं मज़ामी ख्याल में गैब से. These thoughts that come to my mind, they come from an unknown source. I do not know where they're coming from. Sharir khama nabai sharoz hai. And when the pen is put onto the paper, there is a sound of sarsa. That is the sound of an angel who speaks through me. So a thought came to my mind. I captured the thought. Is it not your experience? A thought comes to your mind, you capture it, and then the process starts. So who is the creator who created that sculpture? Apparently you know he created that sculpture, but behind that there were many things. A thought came and if he has not captured the thought, the sculpture would have not come into existence. The thought came and he captured it, and then he has to make it. He became the instrument. You ask a poet who has composed a poem, he will simply say, I know nothing about it. The word simply descended and I became the instrument. Those who know it, they will simply say, they can simply say that I know nothing. Those who do not know, they will say simply out of ignorance. Out of ignorance, they will say. They will hide their ignorance. The three turtles continue, who were arguing and fighting among themselves, but their conflict, their fight came to an end. The moment silently, the fourth one said, I do not know. Who knows it? Their anger knew no limits. They said, this fourth one seems to be a mystic, thinks himself to be wise and talking about wisdom, and thinks that we do not know. So they threw him into the river. When truth is spoken, all the three turtles pushed him into the river. It is very difficult to acknowledge, to receive truth, because before that you have already accepted certain things. You have a preconditioning. You are following the scriptures where things are said in a particular way. You remain deprived of truth. And after truth is realized, or you experience truth, then the possibility that exists for you to attain to inner silence, you are deprived of. When you come to an awakened one, there are some, they will ask me a question, And the moment I try to respond, they will show it is there mentioned like that, and so all these things. So you still are continuing with your conditioned wisdom. You are listening to your own preconditioned thoughts, and when you are listening to me, inner dialogue is continuing to go on. You are holding on to your principles, and while holding on to your understanding, your conditioning, you are listening to me. Really, you have not listened to me. You have been in conflict. So there could not be any communion. And if there is a communion and you are available, then the essential may reach you. Buddha says an essential word is more important than 1,000 messages. And that is how your life is. A long night that never dawns. A night that has no stars, no moon, nothing. There is no light, there is no lamp, nothing. You are constantly fighting among yourself, hitting your head here and there on this wall or that, and this you consider life, and the life continues like this. Only this much for this morning, until we continue for another journey. Take care and do have a pleasant day.